Remember these blurred out teaser images of Respawn Entertainment's new game? Titanfall, as it came to be known, was developed by the majority of former Infinity Ward staff. In my personal opinion, they were the ones who made the non-cookie cutter Call of Duty games. Now, I understand that this original group of Infinity Ward developers are responsible for the smooth and fast gameplay that early Call of Duty games became known for. Look what we got now, a new shooter with parkour and mechs called Titans. To anyone who thought FPS games were all the same, are wrong. Respawn has made the first true next-gen shooter with Titanfall. Titanfall is a game that just has multiplayer. That is correct, just multiplayer. Doesn't sound very next-gen, right? Wrong. In fact, many AAA shooters in the recent past have had the tacked-on multiplayer, campaign, or other co-op game modes. Now, I didn't say there was no campaign. Titanfall actually does have a multiplayer mode with a narrative weaved in. This full story travels along 9 maps, allowing players to take on the perspective of a generic pilot fighting for either the militia or the IMC. The militia are a group of the working class who provide a security and task force for many of the colonies of what is called the Frontier Systems. And then the IMC, or Interstellar Manufacturing Corporation, are pretty much dedicated to maximizing profits by the use of quote-unquote legal application of force. Here is just a synopsis of a few maps. The militia are in need of fuel, so one match is fighting for or protecting fuel. In that same match, your intel then receives a distress call from a McAllen, an ex-IMC officer. Both factions then run into each other on the next map, a colony where McAllen is hiding. McAllen then joins up with the militia in a claim that he knows how to take down the IMC. Without giving too much away, a few maps later, you then have to find a man named Barker, who is an old friend of McAllen. So the story continues with the militia using other various methods to send the IMC crumbling. To be honest, I kinda actually fell away from many of the details, and for good reasons. The gameplay of Titanfall completely distracted me from the very quiet story that was being voiced over a radio, much like the ones you would ignore while playing Call of Duty. So to remedy this, I decided to turn on the subtitles. Well, do you know what happens when I do that? I die. I lose. A lot. And then there's not much motivation to play anymore. I literally had to look at the full story online just to understand what was happening. When I did get it, I found it interesting, but the presentation in the actual game was not nearly adequate to even feel like a campaign. Even the game types during the campaign felt a bit irrelevant at times. I mean, like, what does killing an entire enemy team have to do with finding Barker? The only moments that made me feel as though in a story were the lobby debriefings and the match intros. The intros of many of the campaign maps felt as if being in not just a movie, but in a very realistic war scenario. This whole multiplayer campaign isn't new. Brink tried to do the very same thing, and sadly both games fall into the same failed formula to get the player immersed. Even in that Titanfall did a better job with this hybrid than Brink did, it wasn't an aspect that brought me in further. Alright, now time for the main reason this game was the next step in shooters. This is the real gameplay experience of Titanfall. Now that we're done with the campaign multiplayer, the classic multiplayer is the other bit that everyone will find themselves invested in 90% of the time. This is where I'll also talk about the overall gameplay too. Classic multiplayer has 5 modes of matchmaking: attrition, hardpoint domination, last Titan standing, capture the flag, and pilot hunter. Attrition is just kill everything in sight with an orange name over their head. Hardpoint domination is just domination from Call of Duty, capture and hold 3 points. The one thing different that I find slightly annoying is that if one man is contesting the point, the capture will not progress. It's unlike in Call of Duty, where the player majority will rule to capture a point. In Last Titan Standing, everyone starts in a Titan, and your team must eliminate all the opposing Titans to win. I'd say only play this if you're very skilled in a Titan or want to improve your skills in them. Capture the flag is pretty much self-explanatory, and in Pilot Hunter, only killing pilots earn the points to win. So out of all of those, I'd say that attrition is my favorite mode for a few simple reasons. For one, every point earned is part of winning. It also felt the closest to a more immersive war scenario. And lastly, it really captured what the game was fun for. Titan on Titan, pilot on pilot, and, well, depending on how good you are, pilot on Titan fighting. Overall, I think attrition really expounds the true nature of Titanfall. Moving on, you can even score points by killing grunts and specters, which are weaker AI characters that act exactly like stormtroopers from Star Wars. With Titans waltzing around, pilots jumping on walls, and bots rocking about, you'd think 6 on 6 is a perfect team count. That's exactly true, and it can even feel a bit cluttered at times, but that also adds to the intensity and enjoyment of the gameplay. Additionally, pilots don't even need to be in their Titans for them to run. The Titans can be run in 2 AI modes, following the player and guarding the area that it's currently in. In that alone, it is possible to have a 12 on 12, but there's not much fun in that, seeing as the Titans are incompetent when fighting in AI mode. Oh, why would I forget this? And to get your very own Titan, you must wait a few minutes that can be easily shaved off by making kills and capturing objectives. It's a great way to prevent against camping, but once in a rare while you will find a corner filled in by a noob. Titans themselves feature 2 active and passive defensive-offensive abilities that can be swapped out just like weapons. Each weapon can have one attachment, and the game also offers 3 distinct Titan chassis: the Atlas, the Ogre, and Strider. The Atlas has medium armor and speed and can dash twice before a cooldown. The Ogre is slower, more tanky, and allows for 1 dash at a time. The Strider, implied by name, is faster, can dash 3 times, but has a weaker armor. Each chassis allows for a certain core that can be overcharged to do more weapon damage, infinite dashing, or overshields. I think you can guess which Titan gets what. Fights between Titans may feel a bit clunky, but the abilities that can be chosen make for some great clutch kills and escapes. When you think it's over, you can simply eject to escape or even jump on an enemy Titan to expose their power core and blast it away for some payback. Titans do sound very intimidating at first, but they become a little less, just a little, when a pilot equips a simply put anti-Titan weapon. Even with this, it's still not a cakewalk to take down a Titan. Of course, that isn't the only option for a pilot to fight on the ground with. Titanfall also features even more pilot options to play around with. For example, pilots can have 2 attachments on a chosen primary and a single sidearm with unfortunately no attachments. Continuously, Titanfall gives the player a choice of explosive ordnance, like grenades and remote charges, a tactical ability with 2 other passive perks called tire kits, and so on. So now it seems like Titans and pilots are even, right? Well, that only depends on the skill one has at traversing the maps and utilizing burn cards to obtain the upper hand. Oh, you want to know what burn cards are? These cards are a one-time use player enhancement that can be earned by completing challenges, winning games, and scoring points. These cards are very useful and make a match even more unpredictable, but in a good way because you have them too. Sadly, you're only allowed 25 cards in a deck, and I really wish you could trade them. Wouldn't that be cool though, to be able to trade them with your friends? Maybe in an update. Everything included, you still need skill in traversing landscapes. That's where the jump packs that allow for ridiculous fun parkour come in. The system of movement in Titanfall works a whole lot better and runs a lot more smoothly than it did in referring back to the game Brink. The beautiful parkour functionality is greatly exemplified by the brilliantly intricate design and usage of verticality on every map. The design of all 15 maps fit the traversal system very well and makes it for a very exciting, intense gameplay across all game types. Just don't look at the awesomely crafted alien scenery for too long. It will get you killed. Dang, that's another thing that distracts, but I love it. Now, here's a sad truth. We all lose games, right? But in Titanfall, you can leave a fight with your life. At the end of a lost match, your team has the ability to escape via shuttle. It's not easy to do though, because you still have to fight to survive, but escaping is almost as rewarding as winning. I have to say, it certainly added another level of immersion that I've never seen before in a multiplayer game. It made me feel for real soldiers in our real world, and that leaving with your life from a defeat is sometimes better than dying and being victorious. Bravo, Respawn. Good job. I know it doesn't seem like much, but it certainly helps make this game. The overall gameplay of Titanfall, along with being super fun, is also very well balanced, past the point of just one random gun being more overpowered than most. You know, like the M16 in Call of Duty 4. Speaking of Call of Duty 4, wasn't that just like the best Call of Duty game? Think about it, in 2007, having fully customizable weapons with perks and AI-controlled killstreak rewards? Awesome. It also felt very fast and fun. Anything can get oversaturated, I know, just a short time, just like the Call of Duty games after. But it seemed like COD 4 was that last game to really get me back into shooters that weren't just Halo. In terms of gameplay, which is 99% of this game, Respawn has gotten it right and even stepped up the ante with Titanfall. I realize that I've compared it a lot to Call of Duty, and for the best reason too. Titanfall has that perfect blend of smooth, fast, and arcadey gameplay the early COD games were known for. Aside from the poorly presented campaign, the gameplay alone soared above and beyond that. Titanfall is a multiplayer game. and it adheres to its strength and entertaining gameplay with nothing tacked on. Respawn Entertainment, you have single-gamedly reinvigorated my enjoyment and excitement for new multiplayer shooters just as Call of Duty 4 did. No other FPS game after 2007 has done this for me. Titanfall is a great start to a brand new IP. It earns a 4 out of 5 eggs. I can't wait for the next installment of this game and new ones to come. To the future.